Illegitimate tax collection severely impacts the fundamental human rights of a taxpayer. Unjust taxation can further deteriorate the living of a family, the growth and survival of children, and the development and prosperity of a society. Thus, a fair, equitable, and legitimate taxation process is of paramount importance for the protection of human rights and national development. National governments are urged to make the reforms necessary to create a taxation system with impartiality, reason, and equity so that justice may prevail. The specific case of the Tai Ji Men Qigong Academy was raised, as it has often been widely discussed, including by committees in the legislative yuan. This lengthy tax issue has taken time and energy from the Tai Ji Men members, which could be better spent on the high aims for which it was founded in 1966, the safeguarding and promotion of traditional Chinese culture.
I think is a blemish on what is a very fine system of justice in Taiwan. The role of government, the role of tax authorities, the role of prosecutors, their role is not to seize property, okay? Their role is not to prosecute people. That may be what they do, but that's not their role. What is their role then? Their role is to seek justice. Their role is to follow the rule of law. And in this case, in the Tai Ji Men case, it's been determined that the taxes that have attempted to be collected are improper. And this is disturbing because the continuation and the perpetuation of an injustice is as bad as the commitment of that injustice in the first place. And that is what's happening here in the Tai Ji Men tax case. In any court around the world, including in the United States and certainly in Taiwan, if there's been an error, we don't adhere to that error. We don't say, okay, fine, there's been an error, but too bad. If we find new DNA evidence, for example, that confirms that someone who has been prosecuted and convicted, and the appeals have gone all the way even to the Supreme Court, if later evidence shows that that person didn't do that, didn't commit that crime, we don't keep that person in jail. Why? Because we're not here to prosecute or persecute people. We're here to seek justice. And if justice from information that comes and is learned afterwards shows that a prior ruling, a prior conviction, a prior tax assessment was wrong, then it should be corrected. That is precisely the case in the Tai Ji Men tax case. And it is inconceivable to me that there's even a discussion about 1992 because the situation and circumstances there were no different than they were for the other years in which there's been a negotiation down to zero of the tax liability. And the world is watching. People are watching how this case is going to be handled. And I encourage all of the decision makers, to put a stop to this, to not seize any property and not perpetuate an injustice that has gone on for 24 years.
As I said, in the best possible way, erasing all the tax claims that have been made which are not due. So also the year 1992 should be erased. This claim should not exist anymore, and Tai Ji Men could honor their exempt status and status like other groups, and Taiwan will be honoring the human rights standards, as I said before, and we all will be very happy to hear this good news from Taiwan.
As long as the problem remains inside the borders of the of a specific country and is not exposed to the international community, there is no long-standing solution. Building up a coalition of scholars and human rights NGOs and NGOs defending religious freedom, so that Taiwan, which is a thriving democracy, and I want to really stress it, that I've been in Taiwan and I really hail what they have achieved in the last centuries and even now in this period of pandemics. So give visibility to your cause in all the ways that are at your disposal, and we can help you. And the Chesnur can also be assistance.
It's to be hoped that the current government of Taiwan will be able to repair the damage caused to Tai Ji Men under previous governments since the mid-1990s.
They claim that for 1992, the appeal terms had expired. But of course, there is no appeal term when decisions are grossly unjust. They can always be revised. In conclusion, what is happening now? Now the tax office is insisting with its bill for 1992 and threatens to seize properties of Tai Ji Men and auction them, which will cause enormous harm to Tai Ji Men and to freedom of belief. It's not about money. Tai Ji Men has spent more in legal expenses than what will pay if they paid the tax bill for 92. It's about principle. They didn't commit any wrongdoing, and they don't want to admit this. It will be false.
I am not an expert in Taiwanese tax law, and I'm only starting to study your spiritual organization, but I have an awful lot of sympathy for your case, and I'm here today to say a little bit comparing Tai Ji Men's case to other cases around the world. When we think about religious persecution, we sometimes think of heresy trials, or people are burned at the stake, or the Spanish Inquisition. But in the present day, religious harassment is more likely to take place in the form of illicit and unfair court cases. And so tax laws, zoning laws, being able to have occupancy of a building, these are the kinds of instances where religious minorities find themselves persecuted today.
The power of the state should be the ability to protect and defend individuals and groups, especially the most feeble among them. But in this case, it turns out that the state did just the contrary. In the Tai Ji Men case, the power has been used, the power of the state has been used to discriminate against individuals and a group. When justice was returned to Tai Ji Men in criminal court, the ordeal of this group didn't finish, because in fact, tax offices continue to haunt Tai Ji Men with invalid tax demands.
I met Dr. Hong, the founder of Tai Ji Men, in Europe. He's clearly an ambassador of Chinese culture and spirituality abroad, trying to unite and to have an interreligious dialogue among various groups through what unites us and not through what divides us. This is so needed today in our extremely turbulent world. They are good ambassadors of the values and cultural riches Taiwan stands for, and Taiwan should be grateful for this.
L'affaire Tai Ji Men a révélé les failles fondamentales de l'État, de droit et la façon dont le pouvoir de l'État a été détourné ou même abusé. Les représentants du gouvernement ont violé de nombreuses dispositions de procédure régulière dans l'affaire Tai Ji Men. Taïwan a gagné la sympathie de nombreux pays et organisations dans le monde pour la défense des droits démocratiques en Asie de l'Est. et la gestion transparente et efficace de la crise du Covid-19. Il est grand temps que cette vieille situation soit résolue en garantissant aux membres de Tai Ji Men leurs droits humains et leur dignité et leur liberté de religion.
Certainly, it is not a transparent one, apparently, which is bad news for economy as a whole. Bad news is that the Revenue Service revealed itself in that occasion as an instrument of the executive power to carry out a persecution against a legitimate spiritual movement. However, the administrative inertia, so to say, still left alive some claims by the Revenue Service concerning exactly the same violation which was declared inexistent by the court. And you shouldn't admit a fault on your side. I strongly encourage you to fight against this persecution.